When my son was little, he found it very difficult to be able to enjoy any kind of surprise. When we would suggest to him that we were going to go out for dinner and that it was going to be a surprise where we were going, he found it extremely difficult to be able to trust us as we were going different places. He would ask all kinds of questions, trying to weasel out of us where it was we were going, because he wanted to be sure that he was going to enjoy whatever surprise it was that he was given to us. And I noticed how hard it is, not just for him, but for most of us, to be able to trust the direction of things in our world when we don't particularly know the full story. Now, this thought struck me particularly this past week as I was reading through the story of Joshua and the people of Israel entering into the lands that God had promised to give them. It's a bloody book. It's a book where they go in and they have all kinds of fights, and they are commanded to do things, and they assume to do other things, and they have battles and wars, and they destroy whole cities, and they kill all of the people. It's disturbing in many ways, and particularly for those of us who follow God and who trust in Him, this portrayal of God can be a little bit disturbing as well, because it seems to encourage that kind of violent interference or attitude towards those who we deem to be others, and that kind of attitude has led to all kinds of problems that we recognize as problems throughout history. So this makes us wonder, what is really going on here? And unfortunately, we don't have the full story. But there's a few things we do know. We know that this is not an outline of how we are supposed to encounter those who are different than us, or those who don't necessarily follow or believe in God. We see this because of the way that Jesus interacts with others who we would deem as others. We also see this in the instructions that God gives to the people on how they are to govern themselves. They're actually to look after the stranger and the foreigner in their midst. Now, Pastor Rebecca helped us see this Sunday that this is in many ways still a critique of the people. It's not a rah, these people are awesome. It's also, and perhaps primarily, the sense of, look at how many times these people try to do things their own way and don't trust God in what He is asking them to do because they think that they know better. And that, I think, is what comes down to it for most of us. We think we know better because we think we have all of the information, but the truth is, we don't. Now, why did God command the battles to go the way that He did? We're not really sure. Was He accommodating Himself in the way that He wanted to interact with His people to the times? Was that just the way that the people of Israel understood that's how you made space for yourself? Was that the issue that was going on? Was it primarily to test their obedience, to see if they would actually follow through and give up their trust in the things that they might be able to accomplish or earn from themselves, and to actually trust that God would be able to provide for them? Or was there something else going on? Like, what was it necessary for God, who is planning to do a totally new thing with this new people of Israel, to start from a blank slate, to not try to reshape things according to what had already been there, but to actually have to start with a completely new governance structure and new people in a new place, so that He could actually do something new in a society that is built on justice and caring after the widow and the poor and the alien or the stranger in their midst, the one that is actually a very progressive society for what had been going on at that time. Now, we don't know the reasons behind all of this because we don't know the whole story, nor are we given it. And this is just one example of how that happens for us quite often, where we're not given the entire story. We're simply told to trust in the middle of it. The Belgic Confession, one of kind of the foundational documents of my particular tradition, says that we learn about God in two ways. First, through His world and the creation of the world and the sustaining of it, we learn about His power and His authority and just how amazing He is. Second, we learn about Him more clearly through the pages of the Scripture, but only as much as we need for His glory and for our salvation. He does not answer all of our questions or give us all of the information that we think we need. Sometimes he's kind of like a parent that is bringing a child to a place saying, hey, I know that you're going to wonder why we're going in the particular direction we're going, but you need to trust me. Trust that ultimately you will have a good surprise at the end, and we will be given what our hearts really desire, a place of wholeness and peace and shalom. So may you trust even though you don't know exactly how the journey will pan out.